Welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending today's presentation. Are we there yet? Build your financial roadmap. My name is Kim Gaxiola, and I'm a certified financial planner and founder of TechGirl Financial in Silicon Valley, California. Are we there yet? As kids, I bet many of you found yourselves on a long road trip asking your parents the question, how much longer till we get there? Back when I was a kid, we didn't have videos to watch in the car to kill time. Today, I find that I'm working with a lot of women who are hard at work and desperately seeking the answers to their own future and asking the same question, am I there yet? How long will it be? As I work with many women involved in the tech industry, the work is oftentimes really demanding and the burnout ratio is high. You want to know when you'll be in a position to support yourself without needing to work. This is what I call the work optional plan. Work because you're enjoying it, not because you need it for that paycheck that requires all of your attention on a month-to-month basis. So today, I'd like to start by introducing myself, my own stories, and my own whys. And I hope you'll find something here in common that will inspire your own story and your whys. Life is full of what-ifs, and so my philosophy on planning is dynamic, answering the what-ifs over time instead of just creating a financial plan that works today and is outdated next year. I like to call it a financial ways because you know it can keep recalculating wherever you go. It all starts with organizing. So we'll talk about how to organize yourself. And then once you're done, we'll do the fun part, building your own personal roadmap. We do all this by using some pretty cool technology. Even my clients who have never been much for financial planning, when they see their own roadmap and how their different choices shift the outcome, it's like seeing the future. It will empower you to make the right decisions and have a high level of confidence too. So this is the work optional lifestyle. Before we get started, I thought I'd share a little of my own story. That's me. If you can tell from the haircut, I was born in the early 70s, raised and influenced by the 80s here in Northern California. As a young teenager, my favorite show was Family Ties. For some reason, I always related to Alex P. Keaton or Michael J. Fox's character. And if you remember, he was really interested in economics and finance, and that has always fascinated me as well. To this day, I still love to sing and dance to all my favorite 80s music. When I look back at the 80s, it still seems to me like the most fancy-free years. Times were good. My parents worked hard and always reminded us that if we worked hard, we could also play hard. I was strong-willed and curious, but I think my parents just called it stubborn. I had business owner parents, and they taught me a lot about the business, and I was so drawn to finances that it led to me getting a degree in economics at UCLA when it was my turn, and ultimately my career now. I can remember the spring of my graduation year at UCLA, driving down Wilshire Boulevard and thinking about my future. It was clear I could take two paths. The first path was to work hard, have a glamorous career with an investment bank, travel, make lots of money. But the problem was that when I envisioned myself 20 years down the road, I didn't see a family in my future. Influenced by my parents owning their own business, I chose the path that would give me more control over my life, to have a family and more balance. When I look back at my choices, I can say now I'm glad I did this. However, there were lots of hard and lean years where I questioned why I put so many challenges on myself, starting a business and a family at once. The only ones making money in the early years were the babysitters. I took on a lot of debt to start the business and slowly paid it off over time. But it is through that experience that I have become a better planner, as I've personally been through feast and famine years, and my finances are still on the right path for my future. It took discipline to set realistic goals for myself, and I can appreciate the struggles sometimes my clients have, as I've had them too. Now, I'm happy to say I love what I do and see myself continuing this probably into my 70s if all goes well with my health, as I have something as close to personal and professional well-being and happiness. So here's my background. My dad immigrated from Mexico to the U.S. when he was in 4th grade, and he supported his family when he was a teenager working hard. He got married young, had a family, and ended up owning his own business. He's an inspiration to me, and as a kid, I can remember him saying, "Work hard, play hard." And I took that serious and still do to this day. We did chores inside the house every Saturday, and at least once a month on Sundays, the whole family would be working outside doing yard work. "If we all work together, we'll get this done faster," he would also say. Funny, this still holds true working with clients, as I tell them my clients are more apt to realize their personal goals when they're forced to define them clearly with me, and then we can work towards them together, which makes the accountability so high and more likely that they're able to achieve everything that they want to do. My husband and I love to travel and explore, and I see my future as I slowly slow down my work hours in my 60s and 70s, enjoying more time traveling, taking cooking lessons in exotic locations, and exploring all the places I still haven't seen. I believe our kids mostly learn from our experiences, and I have two, 16-year-old and a 12-year-old, and so it's through the work that I do, the chores they do, and their schoolwork, and they budget their own money, that I believe my kids will learn to become independent through the experience. A big takeaway from my personal struggles is that we can only control those things that fall under our control. It has taken my husband and me years to have a strong financial foundation. And by owning my own business, I am in a position to control how much I work and how much time I have with my family. I'm very grateful for this, but there were a lot of years in between where I was seriously struggling to keep it all together. Being able to achieve everything sure is a balancing act. And I realize a lot of women that may be listening into this presentation are not working for their own business, but are working in a large corporation. There's still a lot of options for you, and we'll talk about those too. So yours may be one of juggling career, family, finances. After all those years, I've given up on balance. It's more like who needs my attention most right now. We juggle so much. Family, aging parents, money matters, and your career. What ifs are everywhere in those themes. I recently went to a retreat that my sister was facilitating, and I learned some really big things that I want to share with you. Being a numbers person, my biggest takeaway from the retreat is this: for every yes, there is a no. It's like a system of credits and debits in accounting. When you're aware of what you're saying no to when you say yes, you will feel more comfortable about the cause and effect of each decision you make, and you'll make better choices. Your money is no different. We're going to explore how we can look at the yeses and the nos and feel comfortable with them when it comes to your money on the live demo we're going to do here. For example, in order to buy a vacation home, maybe you have to cut your annual budget in retirement. And that's the system of getting comfortable with owning your yeses and your nos for your future. If you're listening in on this webinar, at one point or several, you have asked yourself these questions. What if? What happens if I live a long life? That's the ideal one, right? You want to think about how your retirement benefits and your stock purchase plan and all of the things that you have saved for will fit into that. Will that be enough? How much more will you need? What happens to my lifestyle when I no longer have an income because I can't work? I've become disabled. Or what happens if you don't wake up tomorrow? Your family will be emotionally devastated if you don't wake up tomorrow, but you have control over whether your family is financially devastated or not. So once you're able to honestly answer those questions and be satisfied with the answers, you've got a lot of work to do. So those are the foundational what ifs. And I say that's the first thing to work on, but get ready. Once you have those done, there will be some more twists and turns along the way. If we consider our life like we are on a road trip, we know where we start and eventually end. How we get there is a little bit unknown. You could get a flat tire, your kids have to go to the bathroom, there's an accident causing more traffic than expected, and on and on. Almost everyone I know is using Waze or Google Maps to plan their road trips. You tell it where you are and where you want to go, and it plots out a road map. I personally really like Waze because if there's an accident up ahead, it'll reroute me instantly. This is the advantage of a dynamic routing system as opposed to the old-fashioned paper map. Another great feature is that if I miss the turnoff of doing something wrong, it will recalculate and I'm back on track. And I do miss the turnoff often. What stops will you make on your road trip? It's not like the 80s anymore when our parents typically worked for one company their whole life. Now people change jobs often, not just because of higher pay or a promotion. Sometimes it's because their family demands it, or you simply don't like what you set out to do originally. There was a great article in Fortune magazine online, "The Dream Job is a Myth. Focus on living your best life." It's on my LinkedIn page on my post, so if you reach out and connect to me, you can see it there. I'm going to read a bit of the article that was important, I thought. We're told to follow our dreams, pursue our passions, and be extraordinary. But what if we haven't yet figured out what we're meant to do? The writer goes on to say, we attach a sort of failure stigma to ourselves if we're not 100% in love with our jobs or doing everything in our power to turn our dreams into reality. For the millions of people who don't know what they want to do, this can be a major source of embarrassment and shame. Believe me when I write this simple but freeing statement. It's okay if you don't know what your dreams look like. Few of us do. I say that because it's a simple idea. That's all I need when it comes to building your roadmap. Over time, the answers will come to you. But in all of my time helping people plan for their future, the stronger their finances are, the easier they have making adjustments on career, family matter, etc. So think about it. I can't emphasize it enough. The stronger your finances are, the more options you have in life. While you may not be certain where you want to end up, believe me, this is not just an under 35 thing. It's common even with people in their 50s. There will be some common themes, though, occurring in the different phases of your life. And I've worked with many clients in all of those different age ranges, and I've experienced half of them personally as well. The one thing that won't change over time is that your financial concerns will never go away. They go hand in hand with all the life changes. When you have young kids, your concerns are protecting them with insurance because you have little savings. You want to buy a house, finish paying off student loans. Then your kids get older, you'll worry about funding college, and at the same time, you'll have big mortgage payments, perhaps. Lots of kid expenses, retirement, and on and on. One of the things I find so gratifying about what I do is that I am working with people of all age groups, and it makes it exciting. Some clients of mine are thinking about marriage and buying a house, while others are excited to become grandparents. I've seen all of these different phases, and it makes giving advice so much easier because I'm familiar with the challenges of all the various ages. So at this point, when I'm giving this presentation live and I can see you all in the room, I see people get anxious, shift in their chair. Did you walk away from your computer or start working on something else right now? It's natural to do this because you're worried if you haven't done enough and you want to avoid looking at things in fear of what you might find out. Our society acts as if we should do everything to avoid fear, but fear is a natural feeling and we will all feel it from time to time. But we don't have to stay in fearful mode. Fear is caused because of uncertainty, and uncertainty can be changed by getting the facts straight. So don't worry if things seem a little out of control. You're here today so I can walk you through how I work with clients to establish their very own roadmap. But first, we're going to visit my closet. Does this look like yours? How do you feel about this? Uncertain, stressed out, frustrated? This is really what my closet looks like, and this weekend I'm going to get to it. And that's just a funny statement in itself because I've been saying it for the past few weeks. And I've heard the same thing from other people, either when they're talking about their clothes or their finances. It's not fun, and we delay and procrastinate. But one thing's for sure, we're never satisfied with this. So now, are you feeling better? We've got a clean, organized closet. You're no longer lost. You're not feeling stressed, and you feel good that you can see whatever's there. You can also see what you're missing through the process. As my husband says, when my kids lose something, everything has a place. Sweaters in one area, dresses in another, shirts, winter clothes, summer clothes, and on and on. And when you're late to get ready for an evening out, you'll know exactly where everything is in this closet. Every fall, my daughter asks me to go shopping, and I tell her, we're not going until you clean your closet. I refuse to end up buying a bunch of shirts which she already owns. Too many. I want to inventory the clothes, see what she has enough of and what's missing. And then when we buy things, we're buying what she needs instead of duplicating a bunch. I bring this up because your finances can be organized much like your closet. And here's what it looks like. When you create a place for all your finances organized by what purpose they serve, protection, college funds, credit cards and loans, and daily cash reserves, then you can concentrate on what needs to be done next by knowing what you have and also what you're missing. So that's one of the things we're going to explore when I take you live on the financial dashboard, is so you can see in detail how we're organizing your financial closet. This tool is having such a great impact on my clients because we now have a place to put everything. Think about it. You probably have a dashboard at work, and this is your financial dashboard where you can store all your accounts, from credit cards, stock option plans, or restricted stock, mortgages, 401ks, and on and on and on. Data is key to this, and you can link accounts into it. So it's always live with the most accurate information, and you never really have to do any heavy lifting except for connecting accounts. So once you're financially organized and you have everything in the proper place, then we can get down to actually looking at answering some of those foundational what-ifs. So you've got your protection in one area, and those may be your insurance policies, and you can see what's going to happen if you become disabled. How will that impact you financially? If you're satisfied with that, that's great. But if you need some work to do, you know what to do next. And we can do that with your student debt in the liability section and in your spending. So this really allows us to take it a next step, and it's so much easier when you can see everything in one place. So some of you may be already completely organized, and I congratulate you for making it easier for you and your family. If something happens to you, your family should have an easy time picking up the pieces if you're not available. However, that's just step one. Remember, you help your kids organize their closet. Most likely they are missing something, have grown out of clothes, or you need to go shopping and make sure they have enough to get by for the next season. So same thing goes here. Once you have everything together, once you've created the goals for all those categories, now you have to go to work and figure out what you're going to need to complete those goals. These are the foundational what ifs. You have to answer these first. And we do this in building our financial roadmaps by creating a baseline. This baseline, if it's good when we map it all out, then we can ask the fun questions, those fun what ifs. Can I retire early? Can I buy a vacation home? And on and on. The creativity can go crazy. So this is where everything comes together and you can really start glimpsing into your future. My mission here is to illustrate your future for you. And I do so with some really cool tech. So when you can see the future, you can also see how changes to your plan will impact you down the road. This is a huge differentiator from one planner to another. I go to a lot of industry conferences. I've worked with a lot of different software in financial planning, and I've spoken to my peers about how they're working with clients. By far, I would say I'm a minority in the amount of advisors using this technology and taking it further, using it dynamically the way I do. It's much like Waze, what we're doing. And we're creating dynamic plans that you can tweak constantly. The old-fashioned way was to create a plan, give it to you, and then you put it in that circular file, which is also known as your trash can. It becomes outdated and stagnant. So are you ready to demo the software? First, before we do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our sample client for the demo. So I want you all to meet Jeremy and Lori Esposito. I picked this sample because there's so much on this file. I know each and every one of you will be different, and the software allows us to take that into account. So all roadmaps are completely unique based on their own plans for the future, and all can be changed quickly when things come up during life. So now we're going to take you live to the Espositos. Okay, so here is Jeremy and Lori Esposito, and they are feeling organized and stress-free already. We're going to go over here and look more at their facts and show you how the magic begins. And I mentioned that we enter in a bunch of information from our conversation. So we have here their facts, their ages, their retirement ages that they would like, and their family information. And then we're going to skip over to the goals. And you can see Jeremy and Lori want to retire at 65, and they are going to need $195,000 in today's terms for them to live the comfortable lifestyle that they are currently enjoying. And so then we're going to look at their net worth, because this is how it's all going to happen. That's a lot of money to live off of, so they're going to need a lot. So here you can see Jeremy and Lori have their current taxable joint account assets in the top. And then we circle down here and you can see their retirement assets. So everything is broken down in a way that's easy to understand. Then they have insurance, restricted shares, which we can attach from CompuShare or wherever you hold those. And then we have their home that they're living in. It's not as important to put this other information like cars because they decrease in value. And however, if you want that information in because it is a large value, we're happy to put that in for you. Lastly, we're going to track your mortgage because then we can see when you're going to pay that off. And that is really important for the whole cash flow analysis over your lifetime. So Jeremy and Lori have a net worth of $4.298 million. They're in a good place to start their retirement. And currently, Jeremy has a salary of $300,000. There's Lori's salary, and these salaries will last until they're age 65. because this is the baseline that we're creating for them. We have Social Security in here. They are going to take it at 70, but a lot of times this is unanswered, and we will figure out which age is optimal for the clients just by using this what-if scenario planner here. Lori's fortunate to have a pension, and so we've added that into the plan. Now we move into expenses, and the more detail we get here, the better, because we are going to plan everything around their expenses. So currently they are living on $195,000. They want to continue that into their retirement, and Lori thinks she's going to spend even more when Jeremy passes. So she doesn't want to take that down a notch. She continues to see herself spending the same amount of money without her husband telling her not to spend that money. So at any rate, then we have the mortgage payment here. And again, this is going to tell us when that mortgage is due to be paid off. So you can see here, it's 20 years, and we will stop making payments to that in the hypothetical when that is all done being paid off. Insurance premiums are here. And lastly, we're going to look at federal and state and local taxes. So we're going to specifically put in what state you are. So it's calculating that as well. Now we want to make sure we get all the savings contributions in there. And in this plan, Jeremy is contributing the max to his 401k, and he's lucky he's going to get a match from the company. And Lori is saving the max that she can in her IRA. Asset allocation is something I get really excited about. I'm not sure if my clients do, but this is where we're going to make sure whatever your assets are invested in is matching the kind of return we're going to use in the scenario. So a lot of times I go more conservative than the actual return they're getting, just because I want to see something that's more realistic and give room for market corrections. So now that we've got all of this in our system, we are going to go to where the real magic happens, and that is in the plan area. So the future is being calculated right now. Think of this as the crystal ball. Drum roll, please. And so we have the base facts here. So what we're seeing here in the base facts is today you can see what their portfolio assets are. So not including their home, they have $3.4 million in investment assets. And over the next few years, you can see the numbers going up. That is because they continue to save so much and the money is invested and growing for them. When they retire, over here, they want to retire at age 65. At that point, everything kind of slows down or comes to a halt in terms of growth, because they are starting to pull out their money and they're no longer contributing anymore to the funds. And so you can see it just doing that. We have a little bump up here. That's when they're paying off their mortgage. And so they're not using as much of their money. And so it's giving them a little boost in the value of their assets. And keep in mind, all of this is taking into consideration what is being drawn out of this. So the $195,000 that they want to live on is being pulled out every year. And this is what the final numbers are for that year based on that baseline. So you can see it looks like they're going to be pretty comfortable for the whole life. We've got them aging out at 100, and that is the day that they are not going to wake up tomorrow. They're going to live a long life, and their money is going to outlive them, which is the scenario that all retirees want, because that's rule number one. What retirees fear most is them outliving their money. But in this case, it looks like the Espositos are fine. And we can scroll down here to see the final scoreboard. If we see the portfolio assets are 1.9 at age 100, and the total net worth, this is going to include their home. So that is $5 million. Okay, so the baseline for them looks good. that means we get to test it in various ways. So Lori is worried that the restricted stock that Jeremy has is going to go down in price and they're never going to be able to recover from that. That's a big worry for her. So if we show her that if the price goes down at 30%, here's what it's going to do to your portfolio, then you can see, it's a small change up front, but that does become a bigger difference the longer they live. And so this is going to be a story that's going to probably make them discuss selling out of the restricted shares as soon as they vest. It's going to be a good idea for them to get out of those shares once they vest and diversify them so they don't have this worry anymore. Let's say they're diversified and that's not an issue. And now I talked to Lori and she says, I really want to make sure my grandkids can go to college and afford it and not have a lot of loans. So she is prioritizing giving a gift of $20,000 to the grandkids for 10 years for education. If they do this, you can see what's going to happen to their money. It looks like they're okay up front again, but the longer they live, the more it does jeopardize their future and their retirement. And so they don't want to be so worried about what is going on there. And so they're going to actually go ahead and try and make some other changes in order to combat that. So we're going to see what would happen if they downsize their home. It looks like if they downsize their home, the changes are in green, they're in a much more comfortable situation. So it's a good idea for them if they're going to gift their grandchildren money for education to downsize their home and they'll not risk anything. However, Jeremy refuses to do that. He loves their home. He wants the kids and grandkids to celebrate all the holidays there. So this is not an option. And instead, he prefers to cut their spending a little bit more. You can see if they cut their spending, again, they're not going to have a problem and they'll be very comfortable retiring. So you see when I said back earlier in the presentation, it's all a series of yeses and nos. You can see where this comes to light here. If you are very adamant about saying yes to your kids and their college education, then perhaps you have to say no to your big spending ideas and bring it down. Understanding the yeses and the nos will help you make decisions and be more confident making those. So this is the base facts. We're going to take a look at a couple more planning scenarios here. And one is the idea of perhaps having a vacation home. And so here we've got Jeremy and Lori. Again, the gray is the baseline, which we've already covered. And I am going to turn these off so you see. We start with the baseline is now this blue area. And Jeremy says, oh, we're good in our retirement, so maybe we can't afford that vacation home. Well, look what happens if they buy the vacation home. They're really going to run out of money if they live past the age of 91 and 89. So that's a little scary for Lori. She doesn't like that idea. And so she's thinking, hey, let's go ahead and reduce our lifestyle and then we can have more of what we want. We've got to put the grandkids up there. And you can see it looks like they're still going to be fine in that scenario. So again, yeses and nos. Lori is concerned also that she is going to be the last one standing and that she's going to need long-term care. She does not want to rely on her husband and her daughter-in-law taking care of her. So she wants to know what happens if she has to have some sort of long-term care. And for us, the scenario of long-term care is that she is going to go into a long-term care facility at 95 that will last for 5 years. And the expenses are $75,000 at this point, but we're going to inflate them at 5% a year. So you can see a lot of cool stuff we're doing to gather the facts and create a scenario, all which is customizable for you. In that scenario, it looks like she is going to run out of money at about 99. Ooh, that is risky. However, when you go back down here and you look at the final numbers, you can see that she ends up with 178,000 in portfolio assets, but she's got this real estate here that's worth another 6 million, really. And so even though she's running out of money, she probably is not going to need that vacation home when she's in a long-term care facility. So at some point before she goes in there, they're probably going to sell that. And then the situation is much better and no one has to worry. So a lot of things that you can count on using to illustrate the future and really plan with confidence. I just want to show you another thing that we're doing a lot right now with clients because of the tax changes that happened last year. We're looking at converting over time some of our clients' traditional IRA assets to a Roth because the forced distributions when you turn 70 and a half can really hit you with high taxes. And a lot of my clients don't like that. I'm sure you probably don't either. So what we're doing is if we go and turn this back to the baseline and we say let's turn this all off first. Okay, so this is our baseline again we are starting at, and we think about doing a Roth conversion. We are going to start in 2019, and in this plan, what we're converting is 100,000 over 10 years. So if in 2019 to 2029, we convert 100,000 a year from the 401k or traditional IRAs to a Roth, it hurts them up front. But in the end, the longer they live, the more they have to benefit from that. So here they're going to benefit at the end 922,000. And that means that they're going to be in a good situation and their kids are going to be in a really appreciative situation as well because it's beneficial to everyone. Now, what if they decide, I don't want to do it now, I don't want to pay the taxes, and they delay until they're 70? Well, you can see in that way they're not going to benefit at all. So if you want to do this and you want to take all the benefits and have the most gains for you, you've got to do it starting in 2019 versus 70. So that's their scenario. Your scenario may be different, but at least you get an idea of how we can do these plans and really see the future before you have to make the changes and hope they go the way you planned. So lastly, I want to go over here to the client website, and we are going to look at what your view is when you are a client and you're seeing your organized financial closet. The first thing that clients do when they get started is go through a little interview process, and it takes just about 10 minutes. And we want to know what's on your mind. What are the things you want to account for in your future? You can prioritize these, so it's pretty easy by just clicking and dragging. And then we talk about what keeps you up at night. What are your biggest concerns? And then here we go with information and the key data that will allow us to crunch the numbers. And here's information on the children. I like to say you can put pictures here, and it's helpful if you do because then it makes my job so much more meaningful to see the people behind all of this. And we also going to collect the salary and employment information. Drum roll. Okay, goals for retirement, set those up. And any other future goals and expenses, because a lot of times you may not tell me that you want to give your kids money for their wedding or a car or what have you, but it's in your head. So we want to plan for that. And here we're going to talk about real estate or a property or a business. All of that is taken consideration. This is a great place to create the organizer and know who all your professionals are that are helping you with your information. So congratulations, we're done. Take me to the website, and here you're going to see your super organized financial closet. So here it is. Jeremy and Lori, this is what they're going to see on their website. They're going to see everything. The net worth is all that they own, their house, their investments, minus their liabilities, which for them is their mortgage. And you're going to see the investments. And you'll scroll down here. This does not have any information because it's a sample client. But if this was a live client, they would be able to see their spending because they have their checking account set up. So it's very important. If you have your checking account and your savings, then you'll be able to see your income and your expenses and whether you are operating in a cash flow positive, meaning you're spending less than you're bringing in, or if you're negative and you're spending more than you're bringing in and the debt is piling up. So there's lots we can learn from this and help you improve your situation. And here is the shelf where we're going to hold all of your insurance policies to answer the basic what-ifs. And you can see here, it's very easy to add accounts. So what you'll do when you're connecting onto this is you go ahead and click on the add account, and it will walk you through the process of creating basically a gateway to your online accounts, which allows us to aggregate the data and make everything so organized for you. Lastly, you can see the organizer is where you've answered all those questions about all of the people that help you, and you're going to be able to have them here. So if something happens to you, I can help out family members pick up the pieces as well. And it just creates a seamless process. The workshop and spending information is available when it's a live client. There's short little videos for you on the workshops and spending. This is amazing. I wish you had access to it right now, but there's so many ways to see what you're spending, all the transactions from your monthly budgets. And it will show you, cool charts, all sorts of stuff. The investment piece, again, is really exciting for me, but I don't know how exciting it is for everyone else. They seem not to like investments as much as me. But we can measure how you're growing and accumulating over time here and do a lot of interesting things there. Lastly, I want to talk to you about the vault because we've had a lot of fires here in California and some homes have unfortunately been destroyed. And so where do you keep all those really important documents? Well, you can keep them in your home, but you should probably have an online backup copy. And so this is a safe and secure place where you can keep those documents. We can keep them either private for your viewing only, or it can be shared with me. Or I can share documents with you here as well as your attorney if you're drafting a new trust, or your CPA if you're having your taxes done. So it's a great place to share files and keep everyone organized. So that is the vault. Also, it helps because then we're not sending private documents over the internet and we're just keeping them here where you log into this instead of via email, which may be susceptible to some hacking. Lastly is the reports. So if you are involved in getting a new mortgage, you're buying a home, and the banker says, well, tell me what you have, what's your net worth? You can pull this up and automatically you can see everything you own and owe, and it's all in one neat place. We can talk about your assets by tax type. There are so many cool reports here that you're never at a loss for information. So that's the only thing I wanted to show you on this financial dashboard, and I hope that experience made you happy. We call it the financial happiness dashboard because, again, once you can see everything in one place, it's a lot less stressful and easier to manage. The moral of this story is, how will you know when you can live a work optional life? I can't stand using the word retirement, even though I use it so much, because it's pretty outdated. Virtually everyone I know wants to do the work they love, not the work they have to do because they need that monthly paycheck. So, when will you become work optional? Think better. How do you get to a work optional lifestyle? How much can you live on? How much income can you generate from your current assets? And how much do you need to save so you can get there quicker? Those are the questions to answer. And how confident are you in the answers you can come up with for these questions? So, if you're not very confident answering those questions or answering them but finding no confidence in the plan to get there, then we should be talking about advisors. And I want to emphasize it's all about the advisor, not the firm. I've been in the industry long enough and know many advisors on all different platforms. You can find good and bad advisors in any firm. My advice is just focus on who you feel comfortable with. And I say that because I understand going through this process is very similar to going to the doctor's office and having to take off all your clothes. It's uncomfortable. And so you want to work with somebody that you are feeling comfortable with sharing such personal financial information. Our advisor community is sort of a barbell shaped, only there's more weight on one end than there is on the other. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of advisors that are in their late 50s and less advisors in the 20, 30s, something age range. Even less like myself in the 40s. So I'm kind of in the middle there. And unfortunately, it's a high failure rate in this business. So a lot of advisors in their young ages drop out because they just can't make it. And that's why there's more weight on one end than the other. I'm happy to be in my mid 40s because I think I'm in a great place to be able to work with older clients who sometimes I think of my parents or my older sister, and I'm able to relate to them. However, I'm young enough and I use enough technology to be able to help young clients as well. And so I really like this spot that I am myself in. And experience and age really does help when it comes to delivering advice throughout your lifetime. You want to be with somebody that is going to be in this business for the long haul because it's so much more convenient if you built that roadmap that your guide is going to be with you for the whole trip. And so once you've figured out who you feel comfortable with, have a few options, because the second part is also, do they have the right tools to help you succeed in such an easy fashion? And that can all be brought to light with that online dashboard and creating your own financial ways so that you can really visualize the future. So with that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my process so that you can get to know me a little bit more. And if you would like to take it a step further and have me create something like this, you have a lot of information on where to go from here. It's all about the consultation. I spend a lot of time up front with your own whys, finding that out. And then we will discuss goals and get them clearly defined as much as we possibly can and gather the information. That part is really easy. If you're already doing things online, we can connect the accounts for aggregation and we're, boom, really organized really quickly. And I do a lot of that heavy lifting for my clients as well. So it's not that taxing on their end. And then we get to work. You've seen the software, so you know what it looks like when we're building the financial roadmaps. And then the last part is sometimes people do work with me just to build the financial roadmap. It's not my preferred way because I feel like if you don't have the investments set up correctly to match the roadmap, then you may not get there at the same time. Think about it. If you are on Waze and it's calculating that you're going to get somewhere in 2 hours going 65 miles per hour, but your you decide to go at 40 miles per hour, you're not going to get there at the same time. So we need to make sure that all of your investments properly align to your risk and the roadmap so that we're all on the same page. So I highly recommend you do all of this together, the investments and the roadmap. I work with a team, so there's always somebody there to help you out. And my paraplanner, Christina, I like to call her my chief nurturer because she really does take good care of my clients. So the absolutely most important thing for you to do is just get started. You can do so much to empower yourself, have all the information, and know what it means. And when you are armed with that knowledge, you can confidently make decisions that will guide you through life. I use a sample older client today. For younger clients, we can show you how to pay off student debt or buy a house. There's lots of different customizable plans. How much money will you need to save for your kids' college, and on and on. The fact is, you just need to start today and start anywhere. You'll have room to make adjustments, but the later you start, the smaller those adjustments will impact your plan. So do it sooner, not later. It's so easy to get started. I'd be happy to chat with anyone that's participated or listened to this presentation. And I do offer a free consultation, and that can be scheduled on my website. So here's my email address, my phone number, Twitter handle. Come talk to me. I have a scheduler on my website as well. So it's very easy to schedule just a 15-minute chat on the phone or however you feel comfortable. So if you're listening to this and you find someone else you know and love that could benefit from the information or a consultation, please let me know and have them visit my website as well. Again, I want to just make it easy for you all and let's have a conversation. Thank you so much, and I hope to hear from you soon.